There is a council item 8.1, that speaks to that topic. I'm wondering, in a manner, try to be more efficient for this meeting and try to be respectful of the gallery's time this morning. We might move 8.1 up and make it and address that issue after 6.2 is read into the minutes.
Your seconder, Councillor Twano, we seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion was carried. Thank you very much. We will move on to the acceptance of the special council meeting of June 20th, 2025. Are there any errors or omissions? No, being none, would someone like to move the acceptance of the June 20th meeting?
So moved.
Councillor Wilson, and second by Councillor Carver. I don't have your name plates today. I do know who you are, but sometimes a quick look is nice to have the reminder.
We don't know who they are. It would help if you would introduce them, please.
We can do that following this. Thank you. All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Item 2.1, the regular council meeting of June 25th, 2025. Are there any errors or omissions? No. Being none, Councillor Wilson will move it, second by Councillor Falkman. Thank you. All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. We'll just take a little bit of time to introduce the people around the council table. I'm Mayor Lonis Croft. I've been here since November 12th as mayor, and I was previously a councillor for following a by-election, so I had served 2 years before that. I'll pass it on to our CAO.
As the mayor said, I'm the town's chief administrative officer, Dylan Hyde.
I'm Rebecca Swan. This is my first serving.
Penny Carver. I've been on council since 2012.
I'm Kelly Wilson. I've also been on council off and on since 2012.
Hi, Joe Feeney. I live in Main Street, and this has been on council since 2016.
So my name is Brian Hoffman. I live on Pleasant Street, and I've been on council since November 12th.
On Kingsmill, Main Street, as well since November 12th, first time around.
And deputy mayor.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move into announcements by council, but in case I would like to say as mayor, on behalf of our council, we are very sorry for Barbara Menard's family's loss, and that for her friends in the community, she was an extraordinary person, and anyone who knew her or knew of her, because you had to know of her if you didn't know her, because she was a constant figure around our town. And we acknowledge the sensitivity around this extraordinary situation. And we required special steps, I think, as a council to respond to her call. And every conversation that we've been doing and every step we've been taking, we have been in contact with the family. And I've gotten to know them a little well in the last week. I wish under better circumstances. So we have consulted them before we put out any postings, or if we talk to the media, we've had some media requests. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And we are not taking this lightly. We are showing care and compassion and respect to the family in their deep bereavement. Their mother was in the forefront of our community, and we hold her in our hearts and minds, and also the family. So I don't know if there are any questions from council here today. Being none, we are going to move into the public session. The public input is scheduled for 15 minutes. It's a regular item. This is not a special meeting. This is our regular council meeting. So we are following the procedures of our regular council meeting. I do have people who have contacted the clerk and for the deputy, or the CAO, sorry, who have requested to speak at this meeting, so we will take those people first. That includes, it is Marlon has, and the family has, and there's Murray. Murray's here somewhere. Is Murray here? For a tall person, I can't see him. All right, Murray. Who else would like to speak? Because we will have to adapt our time. Roger, you want to?
Essentially, because of the limited time to go around, we'll limit the time based on the number of speakers.
Carolyn. Carolyn. What's your name?
Stuart McGrath.
Jeremy. And Heather Crookshank? Yeah.
This lady over here.
Oh, Trudy,
I just, Madam Mayor, I'm not certain what happens now. Am I entitled to speak when you get to the agenda item, or I raise my hand to speak now?
You should go now, so we'll put you on the
Okay,
list.
Yeah.
I would like to do that then.
and all of you can do submissions. So,
One in the middle.
okay, Heather Crookshank. And your name?
Robin.
Oh, Robin, I have you down already as the second speaker.
Scott DeCudo,
Scott
DeCudo.
DeCudo.
Okay.
And just a further reminder, we do have a podium up to the front, but I know logistically it may be
A
difficult.
quick question,
to get
can
back.
you not amend the rules and go into a special session and increase the time limit?
So I wanted to make a motion to increase the time limit. By 5. Thank you. Make it 20. So that was the plan.
That was in our plan. We were prepared for that, so,
But it's been, how many people are there now?
we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
20 minutes, we give 2 minutes each and a little bit for somebody else to join in.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion. And
And second by our Councilor Farmer. Any discussion? No? All those in favor, signify by aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. We'll expand the time. I think the clerk, you can keep record of that, so that.
So I'm just going to offer that same reminder. We set up a podium at the front, but understanding it is very tight confines. If you're more comfortable to speak from where you are, if it's possible to stand up so that people can see you when it's your turn to speak. And if you could introduce yourself and tell us where in town you live, that's the normal protocol when speaking at a council meeting.
All right, Marlon, would you like to?
And unfortunately, I can't stand.
Okay.
So, I'll just make we're never too old to try something new. This will be my first, public speaking in 70 years. Reminds me of the school days. So, good morning, Mayor, Town Council, residents, and friends. My name is Marilyn Risser, and I live on 136 Kimburn Street for over 70 years. I've witnessed a lot of changes in those years, some good and others not great decisions. Why am I concerned, and what do I have to offer? We built our home on Kimburn Street, so I am aware of permits, bylaws that govern construction and how permits and bylaws are supposed to be enforced. We are a unique town of only 1,000 residents. If you ask any of the long-term residents what's important to them as our town, the reply most likely would be our ancestors' labors and dreams, our heritage, our festivals, our volunteers in the town, our volunteers in the town and surrounding areas, our acceptance of others regardless of race, diversity, religion, sexual preference, accessibility, and to help those in needs. As a retired medical laboratory technologist for over 40 years, I played a leadership role for education and accreditation at a local hospital, which involved procedures and standards within the healthcare system, an occupation where there is only black or white and nothing in between. When I saw the construction on Main Street, my first thoughts were the liability, considering the patio was requested by a business but sits on town property. I surveyed the structure at various times of the day and looked at its construction to observe any concerns. I watched walker users being pulled across the surface because the small wheels of walkers are easily twisted on the edges of the decking. No pushed or motorized wheelchairs were observed, but wheelchairs come in different sizes, so I'm assuming trying to maneuver 90-degree corners may not be possible. The slopes of the sidewalk located in the two driveways at both ends can produce twisted angles or falls. Bright paint in those areas, a posted sign, watch your step, or an extension of the patio over that area would have been easier solutions. The sides of the patio as a wall or a railing do not meet any building current code. Concern on this area of that build would be small children, youth, and dogs entering the main street. A possible fix could be added boards to the sides. On Saturday, July 5th, a middle board was put in place, plus mats were put over the slopes. This brings forth the question whether or not a formal inspection by a qualified inspector was done prior to the patio being used. Other things I observed are tourists and residents are now bypassing the structure by crossing the road where there are no crosswalks. On this past Friday, I witnessed a male elementary youth based on his size, riding his bicycle on the sidewalk going towards Claremont Street. When he came to the patio, he did not stop, but immediately came out into the oncoming traffic. Another incident that could have had a different outcome. I am asking council to use its power to enforce its current bylaw, street and sidewalk bylaw. A bylaw that in Article 8, it documents a street means town street, highway, road, lanes, sidewalk, etc. Under the same bylaw, under Article 25, it is document use of sidewalk conforms with the requirements of this bylaw and will not interfere with the public use of the street sidewalk, including traffic and pedestrian safety. Comments about other cities or in other provinces are doing it does not mean our town needs to do the same. People will come because of our beautiful surroundings, access to water activities, our trails, our festivals, our gardens, our churches, our playgrounds, our museums, Mahone-based Center, to name a few. Our businesses will be successful based on unique and quality of products, accessibility, and customer service. Now a tribute to Barbara Menard, who was a remarkable human being, always a smile and a gracious hello, an active individual who even at the golden age of 100, a role model for us, humble, non-judgmental, caring, spiritual leader, respectful, a friend and a mother figure for many. Let us not be so tied up in a business structure that we lose ourselves as human beings. A simple gesture of good faith by resolving the issues. So her last words, someone needs to call the town hall. This needs to be reported so no one gets hurt. We need to show compassion to her family and friends so that they can find peace and start their grieving process. With the guidance of our fairly newly elected council, I pray that our residents and businesses can cooperatively work together. This is what the residents of this little town are all about. Rest easy, Reverend Barb. We'll take it from here. Condolence to Reverend Barb's family and friends.
Did you want to come up? Or just stay there?
It's okay if you want to stay there, but we do
You can use
appreciate
the
your.
podium.
I think just so I'm looking at it. Thanks very much. We realized in the last few days how much everybody loved my mother. I'd like to start with just saying that I had lost my temper last Friday after the meeting, and I'd like to apologize for that. There's been a lot of bad comments on Facebook, and a lot of what's happening in social media these days is terrible. I apologize for my behavior and ask you to follow the example today, not of last Friday. So in any case, we should proceed in a caring and respectful way.
Yeah.
We just want the sidewalk removed.
Yeah.
The sidewalk kept and this structure removed.
Yeah.
We have I sent a detailed list to the council. We have concerns about the sidewalk with especially because of the crosswalks. This is a two-way sidewalk. And it has a minimum of 1.50 meters to 1.60 meters, and it's also done research. There's the Accessibility Act. And this is a two-way sidewalk. It has to be a minimum of 1.6 meters. That's right now 42 inches the sidewalk they've built. It doesn't allow even two people to walk together like this. And there's mobility scooters and people with carriages and dogs and children hanging out. And there have been, I'll get to the cosmetic changes that have been made in the structure, but it's still possible for a child to fall through there or a dog. We've had reports of a dog getting its leash caught around the structure, so it's not safe. It has to be wider, and this is not, a question of how wide a sidewalk should be or not, up to inches, and it's about public safety. And you have to use that sidewalk to navigate the town, and it has to be changed. It's an emergency. I don't know if you looked that up in the meantime, but there's other safety issues with this structure other than that, closeness to the traffic. People are still walking around it right into the town. There's still a gap on the side of the structure, exactly where my mother fell. It's where the curve goes down into the driveway. This is where her wheel kind of got lodged and turned into that, and she couldn't keep it. We have in the meantime two eyewitnesses who were right there face to face with her, and they described it, so we can submit that now. Since yesterday, they've described exactly what happened. So this is still a problem. There have been some cosmetic changes made by the restaurant. They put it on 5 days after the accident, they put a rubber mat. Now, if you even put a cable, in the public space, you have to put a mat on. They put the mat on 5 days after.
Yeah.
In recognition of the fact that there's a gap. They put a sign up, sidewalk continues with an arrow. In recognition of the fact that people are walking around. They put up horizontal 2x4s on Saturday. That's 10 days after the accident. People can still, dogs and small children can still fall through there. Right after setting up the sidewalk, they put pylons on the side of the structure. Because the car had punctured the tire on. And yesterday they put up reflector strips on that. Maybe so it's safe than that. A restaurant, well, first of all, the restaurant has said that their staff saw the accident happen on the sidewalk and not on the structure. The witnesses said there was no one from the restaurant there. They came after the bandages had been, they requested bandages in the restaurant.
Shoe store.
Oh, in the shoe store. Someone came from the restaurant, came onto the patio and was there from 10 to 15 seconds. That was it. As if they haven't seen, so somewhere they're getting information. Anyway. These cosmetic changes are not enough. The reason the restaurant does not even want to open the sidewalk, modifying the structure, is that they will not be able to serve alcohol on the path. No comment. There have been reports of injuries. I haven't covered them because their reports are not, I have no. We have a petition that we only started a day and a half ago with 200 signatures. It's not easy in Monday to walk around. So I'm sure there's a lot more. We'll be continuing.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you on.
So I would request that the council recognize this as an emergency, not as something to deal with over the next 6 months before somebody gets hurt. And and thanks for your input. Why can't the city just go down there and say, sorry, I think you submitted this to the council. Sorry, we made a mistake. We issued a permit that we shouldn't have issued. This is a two-way sidewalk. We got to take it down. Sorry. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt. Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Like,
Murray? Murray? All back,
I think Robin.
state your address, please. okay?
Murray Allenbeck, Pleasant, 48 Pleasant Street, Malden. I think Robin's pretty well covered everything, but it's a real emergency to get something done there because there's going to be another one, and we can all see this coming. We'll do the right thing.
Hi there, I'm Roger Mader of 319 Main Street. I am the romantic partner of Danielle King, the owner of the restaurant. I am not a business partner in that venture. My office is the back of that address, of that building. I knew Barbara from her regular visits there, and like all of you, everyone who knew Barbara loved her. She celebrated her birthday with us there. And she did that because we're one of the few places that has ramp access in town, as well as Daniel's other restaurant. We're all neighbors. We're all interested in the safety and welfare of all of our residents. However, that patio was built to the specifications of multiple agencies. It was approved at the width of the railings and everything else that has been addressed to specifications that are matched not only by our town, but across the province. It was certified by the province. It was certified by the town. It was certified by fire. It was certified by structures.
Excuse me, please be respectful. You will have to leave the gallery if you are not respectful to other people while they are speaking. Thank you.
Thank you. This is far from an unprecedented structure. It is a standard. And I recognize there are people who don't value the precedent from other towns. I was in Wolfville yesterday. There's 7 of these on the same design structure. The modifications that were made for the structure were in deference and respect to the family's requests. They were not required by the town. They're not required by fire or safety because it was already in compliance. The wooden structure, in my opinion, is the flattest, most balanced, even surface that we have on our sidewalks, which are a danger to anybody in a walker or a wheelchair because of the egress ramps and all the many fractures in our sidewalks. I walk that sidewalk the length of Main Street every day, twice a day. So I understand that it is a risk to be, it can be 100 years old with a walker on our streets. We have met with the town council representatives, Dylan, and with engineering to talk about what could be done to remediate, and we are having metal plates at the town's request produced to replace where there are mats currently. We are deeply sorry for Barbara's loss. Our understanding, however, is that Barbara fell, Barbara broke a finger, Barbara went to the hospital. Barbara died in her sleep 3 days later. And I would like to understand that if there is some evidence that the fall was the cause of her death, it seems both unlikely and it should be produced as evidence for all of this inflammatory invective. I have not seen that, and we wait to see some indication of that. We will miss her very much. And thank you all for all of your concern. And thank you for hearing me today.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Lonis. I live on Foxburg Road here in the town of Mahone Bay. I'm new to Mahone Bay. I've only lived here 10 years. My husband, his parents, his grandparents, they're all from Mahone Bay. When I watched that sidewalk going up, I was so upset. Well, I'm a taxpayer here in the town and you're gonna take my sidewalk from me that I'm paying for and put this thing in to try to get people to walk around. You took 2 parking spots when you did it. And my husband, who comes down every morning for the mail, is used to parking post office and have to go out around there. So he now has to park over at the drugstore. And it's very painful for him to walk that distance from that drugstore to the post office every morning to get that. I don't think that restaurants should have people sitting around on a sidewalk. Sidewalk is for the people to walk on. It's what the taxpayers pay for. It's not a restaurant. If you want a patio, build it on the back of the building. Put a beautiful window in there and I know it's already a door there, and put a deck on the back. But do not take the sidewalks away from people. And that is dangerous what you have there. I don't think it's up to code. I watched one woman in a very large wheelchair. She couldn't get through it. She had to back up and go out the road to get around. I think it's a very dangerous situation and it's not going to stop here. It's going to be more accidents happening if this is allowed to stay. And I've tried to contact council people. I've called them and I left messages. I've emailed them and not one person here in the town council called me back to any of the messages that I left. And I did this way before this accident ever happened. I did it right from day one when I first seen this going up. And it's gotten worse because cars are now parking in front of that deck or whatever, sidewalk, whatever you want to call it. They're parking there and going into the post office.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I've watched it. My husband has gone down to get mail and cars have gone up there and parked and ran into the post office and come back out. And that is the truth. That is not a lie. That is the truth. Witnessed it with my own eyes.
Okay, I want to hear what people have to say, and when other people are interrupting them, I want it to stop. The next person to interrupt a speaker will be removed from the gallery until the public session is over. Is that understood? Are we ready to proceed? This cuts into our time, you know. The next person on our list is Derek McGraw.
Members of council, I have a unique position. I'm called come from away, but I have 3 sets of great grandparents buried here, so I really don't feel like I'm complaining. I'm only here for 2 months of the year. I have a little bit of a unique perspective in that I ran a 911 center, so I know a little bit about disability acts. And one of them is the main purpose of the Disability Act is to allow disabled people complete access as a normal person would have access to amenities and facilities. And I looked at the structure. I'm not an engineer. I do have a science degree, but the frustrating thing I looked at, why there weren't metal plates. I hear they're coming now, but why afterwards are we doing metal plates when it should have been done beforehand? The frustrating thing is the sidewalk is there. Allow the sidewalk to go through, and the server's okay. It's inconvenient. They have to go across the sidewalk to service people. I didn't realize that you lose your liquor license. I was a small business owner, so I have some empathy for trying to run a small business. But the frustrating thing is the people deserve to have unimpeded access to their sidewalk, and they do not. And why there wasn't a garden patio put in the back instead of what was done in the front, I don't know. That is inside the business owner's head of why they did things that way. But it's an untenable situation there, and that it's always been tough to get in and out of the post office. And now it's even tougher having to come out and make a right-hand turn and really go into oncoming traffic. And with the construction that's going on in Mahone Bay, it's even worse. I think Alvin Rose sent me an email and said it's a monstrosity that is being allowed to take place. So, and I don't know whether the permit is a month-by-month permit or it is a yearly permit or whatever. That is up, you may have some legal liability if you try to cancel it, but sometimes you have to make a tough decision to protect the citizens of the town. Thank you very much.
You may speak now, Heather.
Thank you. My name is Heather Brookshank, born and raised in Mahone Bay. I live on 138 Freeman Road, Mahone Bay. I'm getting emotional now, but all I'm asking everyone, let's just keep everybody safe. Give us our sidewalk back. That's all I'm asking. You know what? Anybody that's affected by the road thing, that's also serious. I'll let them battle. I need the walkway open and I have to have knowing that everybody is safe. I'm a walker. I've been on the corral and that's what I felt like when I was on there. And I'm trapped when I'm on there. I can't even imagine what senior citizens are feeling like when they don't know if they can even walk downtown on the main road anymore. They're going the back road. So nobody's even seeing them doing that. And that's taken away from their access from the pharmacy, their post office, the drugstore, and their bank. And that is what they have left with dignity and independence. And when I see that, and I've seen people going through that, I took pictures, I've been down there, I'm sure everybody's seen me. And I've been paying attention right since day one. And I've been talking to senior citizens in Mahone Bay, and they're thanking me, stand up and speak for us because we can't. So I'm here on behalf of myself and the rest of the people in Mahone Bay who can't reach out and speak to somebody or be heard. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I'm not used to doing this.
You're next.
Good morning. My name's Trudy and I'm the person who asked that this item be put on the agenda today. I want to thank the mayor for acknowledging that we are a community in mourning. I think it really matters that we all remember why we're here, who Barbara was, and how much we loved her. And everything we say and think should be sort of in the context of that. I hope that by adding the item to the agenda, a little time has passed and councillors may find a way to reach some sort of compromise that will satisfy everyone. I mean, the community and the family themselves and Danielle. Danielle King's the owner of Eli's and she has rights too. You know, she runs a business. She applied for permission to establish a sidewalk cafe. She was given permission. She built the sidewalk cafe according to regulations and it was inspected. So we can complain now that the sidewalk is unsatisfactory and I'm the first to say, I don't like it. I will never sit there in that cafe. I wrote to Brian as soon as the damn thing opened and because I wanted to express my dismay. But at the end of the day, who the heck cares? That's just me. That's what I think. I think we all, though, need to acknowledge that, excuse me, it's emotional for all of us. We all need to acknowledge that we're a small community of 1,000 people. We want to get along, right? If Danielle wants that sidewalk cafe as a way of expanding her business, it isn't easy to run a business anywhere right now. You know, money is tight. If that's what she wants, then we need to find a way to accommodate her and satisfy us such that the cafe exists, excuse me, and the sidewalk is safe.
Hi, Scott Takuda, 498 Main Street. What was your name, ma'am?
My name's Trudy, I live at 36
Good.
Boxford, so.
Trudy is probably the first person who stood today, who is opposed to the sidewalk, who actually spoke with balance. So I'm here to just report what I read online. Also, I happen to be friends with Danielle. I know a bit about her. There's been a lot of witch hunt online. There's been death threats. There have been people, filling up her comments, like she was looking for employees on the 16th of June. Somebody went back to the 16th of June and said, well, if you want to work on a murderous platform, this is not the town that I moved to. Now, come from away. I'm married to Christine Hiltz, who's been here her whole life. And she is here, she's asked me to represent her and myself. And the kind of thing that I've seen online and the lack of flexibility that I'm seeing in this meeting today is not the Mahone Bay that she described to me. Now, I'm getting upset. Now, Barbara, I don't know her. She sounds like an amazing woman. The things that I've read about her, the people who love her and have written about her, she would be ashamed because what you say she was, you're not doing. She was patient. She was forgiving. These are things I've read about Barbara. Loving, forgiving, kind. And if you oppose something, excuse me, it's my
I'm not
time.
saying anything, I'm standing.
Okay. If you oppose something, then do it in a way that possibly Barbara would appreciate. Okay? Is this an obstruction, Mayor? Because it's threatening.
Yeah.
This is threatening. This is threatening to me right now.
I think
Stop the clock.
people do understand that you're doing this at the person who is speaking.
Absolutely.
We're standing for our mother.
And I'm standing actually for a woman I never met, who I've read her characteristics. And what I'm reading online and some of the things, the inflexibility that I see in this meeting does not match what I've read about
That's
you.
why I made my split statement at the beginning that should all.
Okay, here we go.
I'm
not-
going to
Like,
just gonna ask you to sit down till he finishes speaking, and then if you need to stand, do it then.
That's right.
Okay.
So what I wanted to say is I'm from away. And all I hear about Mahone Bay is how we're so welcoming. And all this is new to me, right? About even representing the Mi'kmaq, right? But what I hear in this meeting is absolute inflexibility. Danielle is a citizen here. She is a resident here. She is a business owner here, and she pays taxes here. And she has the right to do what the law says she's allowed to do. Nothing has been done illegally. It was a terrible accident. The details of it we may never find out. I heard, this is rumor, 14 hours in the hospital. Are you going and protesting the hospital for bad care? 14 hours that poor woman had to wait to be seen and cared for. I don't know if that's true. That's what's being posted. You're angry, you're upset, I get it. And I feel like the last thing I want to say, unfortunately, is going to be against the town. I sent a letter, I don't know if it was received. There are gaps in the sidewalk this big outside the Mateus restaurant because the town has shaved the sidewalks because of roots and have not filled it in. I almost tripped on a stop slow sign that was left on the sidewalk outside of the church when they were working at the other end, Hetty's Landing. There, you can walk around these sidewalks, and there are so many places that a person with a walker, or in the case of wheelchairs, will have trouble with. So if you have an issue with safety on the sidewalks, you better go all the way through town and hold the town responsible, not this structure. This structure can be improved. From what I'm seeing, they actually give a crap, and they're doing things right now to make it safe until they can get the final word, and I guess they're going to do what's necessary. I would like to hear some cooperation. I would like to hear some flexibility and kindness. Daniel did not try to kill your mother. It was an accident. It was an accident. And as I said, she even celebrated her 100th birthday there. Do you think she would approve of this? I don't think so. Thank you very much for your time.
I think we've probably exceeded the time we have. So thank you all for your presentations. And we are going to move on. My computer has timed out. And I will get back on.
Any of the councilors on the issue?
We do not speak at these meetings. We are here to listen to the voices that come to present. We do not, unless somebody wants clarification on somebody's presentation.
And when we reach item 8.1, there is items on discussion on this subject, motions that have been put on the agenda. So council will discuss that.
Question?
We've not, no, we don't have, we have questions at the end of the meeting. There's a time period, item 11. Are questions, and they must maintain to something that has taken place during the council meeting. Being no questions from any of the councillors, we are going to move on to, our presentation has been rescheduled, so, we will not hear from the Kidney Foundation of Canada. So we'll move on to correspondences, item 6. And 6.1 is a letter from the Honorable Becky Durham, our Attorney General, on policing in Nova Scotia. You received that information in your package, and there's a long document, and then there is a Coles note type of paper there also for quick reading and reference. Any discussion?
Mayor, I move that we refer item 6.1 to the Police Advisory Board for their deliberation.
Thank you, Councillor Feeney. Is there a second? Seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you. The next item, 6.2, is Trudy Richards Sidewalk Cafe concern. Councillor Feeney.
Mayor, as you know, there was a town council meeting on Thursday afternoon, and there was a request by council to the community at large to avail of the process to bring their thoughts and feelings into the topic. It was well discussed earlier in the meeting to council's attention. And that is the mechanism where information can flow to council formally and then get entered into the public domain and available for everybody to read and review. Based on the short timelines, Trudy's well-crafted note, followed up by our commentary this morning, is in the public record, but council is in receipt of many other items of correspondence that did not meet the meeting's timelines and deadlines to make it onto this agenda. But do not worry, they will be entered into the public domain. They will be on future council agendas. So your letters, if they didn't make today's meeting, they will be read and they will be recognized. Part of, in that meeting, Mayor, as you recall, I made a notice of motion to provide council with some structure to provide us tools to resolve the questions that have come up throughout this meeting, and to provide council with information that we need to deliberate on these requests, and to provide the community at large due process and appropriate notice. So these motions are really crafted in that spirit to provide all perspectives and all points of view and opportunity to participate, as well as to give staff an opportunity to convey fact-based information to councilors so that we can continue this process. I think the one takeaway, and then I'll move on to the motions, is that regardless of where you stand on a particular item in town, the one thing you can be guaranteed is you will receive due process and you will receive notice so that you can respond to issues that may affect you as a business owner, a homeowner, property owner, or a member or somebody who receives any of the services that the town provides. So I'm hoping that these motions will start us down that positive path. The first motion, Mayor, if you'll indulge me, and this is, I get it directly attributed to 6.1. So this is item 8.1 being moved up to talk to 6.2, is the council direct staff to prepare a report on potential updates to the 2008 sidewalks and streets bylaw, including best practices from other Nova Scotia municipalities with bylaws governing sidewalk patios. That report should address the impact of sidewalk patios on pedestrian safety, traffic mobility, and provide design recommendations aligned with council's commitment to safety, as well as outline a consultation process for a potential bylaw revision that involves the Mahone Bay Chamber of Commerce, local businesses, and all residents of the community.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Yeah, Councillor Wilson. Okay, discussion, Deputy. Oh. Councillor Carver. Okay.
I wonder if the mover and the seconder would consider including request for staff to also include reference to the relative merits of establishing a separate sidewalk cafe bylaw in the same manner that town of Bridgewater has. As a separate, so I'm asking the mover and the seconder whether they would consider adding that request to the list of things that we are asking staff to provide.
Councilor Carver, you're suggesting that the item that suggests consultation for potential bylaw revision and addition or a
And or
and/or
development of a separate sidewalk bylaw.
that amendment's fine by me, Mayor. If seconder will.
Fine by you? Okay, we'll open discussion. So do we vote for the amendment first? and
No, it
or
was
discussion?
accepted by the mover and seconder.
Okay, so we will take, discussion now, and Deputy Mayor.
Said, I was wondering if both, the mover and the seconder would add accessibility after safety. Fair enough, Deputy Mayor. Happy to do that as well. Thank you.
Seconder, you in agreement with that?
No.
Okay. Right, any discussion on this topic? Does every counselor feel they had any questions or, all right? We will call for the question. All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Do you have a second motion, Councilor?
Mayor as well, I do think that, I think the council would benefit and the community would appreciate a report as well that really details the permitting process and like how did these things come to be? And I think that there's plenty of a reason why the permit in question did follow and complies with the existing bylaws. And I do think that the process, it's important for us all to understand what the current rules are. If there's an expectation that the rules will change, I mean, that will be, reviewed in due course. But I do think that we need a fact-based report that really is available to the community to that effect. So we'd move that council direct staff to provide a report on the permitting process for sidewalk patio installations. And that would address concerns concerning the approval process, design guidelines, and that this report be provided to council by the regular meeting on the 31st of July.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Okay, I pass it on.
I have another request of a mover and a seconder. One of the things that I'm curious about, especially after hearing the public input, is what are the criteria by which the manager of public works makes a decision about the safety of the patio. So I'm asking the mover and the seconder whether they would include reference to the criteria for that decision making by the manager of public works.
That strikes me as an appropriate edit as well. Councilor Carver, happy to include that. So it would be concerning the approval process, design guidelines. And I guess this would be help me with wordsmithing, Councilor Carver.
I think we're like on the fly.
Let's see, the clerk, do you have?
So I was starting to put, after design guidelines, safety criteria for, inspection or.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the original motion does capture this well, so it's just a matter of, I guess, reiterating. It says design and safety guidelines, the guidelines with respect to safety.
I guess
The design guidelines is already read.
design guidelines, I guess, and maybe something like compliance, safety compliance, or just compliance with the.
If I may, the bylaw, item 30, number 2, says the director of operations, which is now the manager of public works, may suspend the use of any sidewalk or street, if the director deems the encroachment unsafe with general public. So it's that criteria that I'm
Awesome.
Sorry to have to get into
No,
the
no,
weeds, but
feel great.
that clause doesn't pertain to this. It's about encroachment. It's not, it's a, you need to look at section 22, which speaks to the criteria for the permit to be revoked. Section 22 does make specifications. Happy to include all of that in the report. But yeah, ultimately, I think if that's why the report's being requested, so that we can have some clarity around that interpretation of the bylaw.
So my reading of the bylaw, which was that the director of operations may suspend the use of any sidewalk or street if the director deems the encroachment unsafe to the general public. He's saying that doesn't apply to the sidewalk cafe.
It's a subclause of a different heading, and section 22 does apply and does actually specify that this can be revoked, and it gives the criteria for revoking.
Councillor Feeney?
Hearing that commentary, Mayor, I think that why don't we take a vote on the motion as it stands?
Okay. Good.
The motion's been made and seconded, I
Okay.
believe, Mayor, I think we can,
All right, no further discussions from any of the council? No? Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify with aye. Opposed? Noted. The motion's carried. Okay. Moving on to item 6.3. There is a feedback from Keith and Linda Pomeroy. You all received that in your packages. Any discussion on that item? Would someone like to call for receive and file? Oh, yes, Councilor Wilson.
There is a request in that letter that we appoint a point person to discuss the various affected individuals along that road. I presume that includes the businesses and private individuals. And I think that would probably be a communications specialist.
Yeah, I guess if this is a question for me,
Yeah.
so we've received many contacts through email, phone, in person, a variety of different formats, both from the business community, the public at large, over the past several weeks. I've made a tremendous effort to call everyone back, working long hours in the evenings. Claire Louise is our communications person, is certainly put a lot of effort into those communications, but one person could not come close to keeping up with the volume of communications that's been anticipated in this regard. And councillors have also been obviously significantly participating in those communications, and the mayor's been taking point on those communications with respect to the family and community members. So I think the challenge is here, we have staff who have jurisdiction over the permit. We have communication staff who are responsible to respond to concerns.